watch.
For sure.
How your purple ballers, though?
Oh, shit. Non-existent.
Might want to record this.
And hi, we're live. Welcome aboard, everyone. You get to see how dumb I am before the show starts. Not to say that I'm not dumb during the show.
I was going to say, that's not exclusive to just before the show starts.
To the one person probably watching right now. All right. Now I'm recording. The purple bars look very purple. And all right, you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, December 1st. It feels weird saying that. I can't believe it's already December. Holy smokes. This is the 312 podcast. I'm your host, Matt Zawoski. With me, as always, are these two bad hombres, Matt Peck.
Zo, Sean, how you boys doing? Everybody feeling good?
Getting ready, gearing up for Christmas. And Sean Sears. What's up, Sean?
What's up, boys? I guess it is Christmas time, so I should probably start figuring out what I need to buy people for Christmas.
Mm-hmm. And for any of our listeners out there, extra bonus points if you tweet at 312pod, the name of a good barber for my boy Sean. He needs a little haircut. As always, you can watch us live recording the show on our YouTube channel. Sean is going to be tweeting that out. I don't know, it just adds a different element to it. It's a little bit more fun. Or if you missed the show and you want to watch it on the computer, internet is forever, man. We have a great show for you today. We're going to talk some Blackhawks. We're going to talk about a little bit of Tay's injury, finally identified. We're going to talk about some Bulls, a little bit comparison, some familiar faces in the UC. We're going to talk about the Bears. We're not really going to preview the game against San Francisco because we like you. So we're going to talk about a little bit of more of the stuff down the road. And then we're going to get into that Major League Baseball hot stove because it seems like Chicago is just right in the middle of everything going on in Major League Baseball.
Cubs and Sox involved in all kinds of crazy stuff, man.
So with all that being said, there's a lot going down. It's the Christmas season. They do make kegs of eggnog. So let's tap this keg. All right, let's jump right in. And before we jump into our Blackhawks talk, we're going to start with the Hawks. Just a friendly reminder, everybody, please, all I want for Christmas is you to subscribe, rate, review this podcast, tell your friends about it. And now I'm asking one more thing for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You get to see my above average mug while we record this show. Sean,
I don't know if that's the way you want to go around advertising it. So.
Well, I was going to say either that or you could just see how just man pretty Sean is. So let's talk about some Blackhawks.
Give the people what they want,
man. All right, let's get into some business here. Let's talk some Blackhawks. Jonathan Toews, Captain Hawk, Ice General, still going to coin that phrase. He got hurt a couple games ago. Some people said upper body. The video made it look like it was lower body. They finally came out and kind of un-hockey-like and actually finally said, you guys, you know what? It's a back injury. All right, there, we said it. It's his back. And they also said that they believe he'll be back on Saturday. They had to, convince him not to play on Monday night, which, like I said in our previous show, or Tuesday night, like I said in our previous show, I full-heartedly agreed with. I'm not cool with it being a back injury, man, especially in life in general and especially in sports. Back injuries like Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with because that just lingers and it never really goes away. And in a sport as a physical in hockey where guys are literally jamming wooden sticks into your back constantly, you got to think this is going to hurt the captain a little bit down the road. I mean, don't get me wrong. They have top-of-the-line training facilities. They have the best doctors money can buy and things of that nature. It's just I'm glad it wasn't a head injury. Don't need the scrambled eggs, Captain. But the back injury is scary.
Head injury would be obviously the worst-case scenario because you never know what happens after that. But back injuries are similarly scary in the sense that you don't really know if it's ever going to go away. I mean, right. Back injuries linger, man. Freaking lingerers. And, I mean, when you think about I don't know why, but whenever I think about back injuries, I think about Larry Bird. And like maybe it's just random, but it's the example I always go to of a back injury completely ruining a Hall of Fame career. Like Bird wasn't that old when he retired. Right. When the '92 Dream Team played in Barcelona, he barely logged any minutes because he was literally incapable of standing up, let alone running up and down a basketball court for several minutes at a time. And like this is captain, my captain, Jonathan Taves.
Heart of the soul, man.
You're hoping that this is a minor back injury that will come and go, but you have no faith that that's the case.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's minor if he's going to be back in the lineup like they say on Saturday, which is a very good sign, but I fully agree with you, Peck. And the thing with back injuries too is it could be a little one now, but say he catches a cross check a little bit weird in the back and it moves something a quarter of an inch or something like that, it could lead to a bigger thing. But on the ice, the Blackhawks did take care of business against the Florida Panthers. It was the first home game after the circus trip, which always, it's a trap game. It sucks. It's terrible. Corey Crawford did his thing where he grew like 3 more arms and like stood on his head. Like, I don't know. He was just a madman in that net. The Hawks should have lost. The Hawks should have lost that game 5-1.
Yeah, they really should. Easily. 38 saves on 39 shots. Incredible.
Yeah, and one of them, he got tackled by his own player, lost his stick, got up, and still made the save. Like, it was – yeah. I had to rewind it to be like, is this real? And I was watching the game with my wife, and she was even like, that's like, unbelievable. That's an amazing save.
You're talking about that one in the third period, right, where he was like on his knees all the way like to the left of the goal, and he had to like throw a paw out there to save it. I think it like knocked off the right goalpost, but he kept it out.
He got tripped up by his own guy. I think it was Hinostroza who ran into him. He got knocked down, got up, dove across the net, hit the puck with his glove or his block or one of the two hands, and like you said, he redirected it just enough so it hit the post. Like, it was incredible. So, again, not very happy with the defense making Crawford win these games, but 2 points is 2 points, so we move on. One of the other highlights of there's 2 big highlights here. One, Mr. Panic, buster.
Big comeback for him.
Slump buster. Hasn't scored a goal since October. He came out of the gates hot, and then he disappeared. So put on a real nice move on Roberto Luongo. Very big goal. That was the Hawks' 1 goal in regulation. As well on that goal, another slump was busted. Rasmussen got his first point in like something like 17 games or something like that. So that's good. Number 2, the bread man, Panarin. He just keeps adding numbers to that next contract too. That's some bitch. He just keeps adding numbers in the shootout. I mean, I've watched this shot now probably 40 times since last night. I don't see why Luongo bit as hard as he did, because
it makes sense.
He makes a real slight shoulder shrug. See, this is why you need to be watching our YouTube so you can see my awesome shoulder shrugs. He makes like a really good shoulder like shrug move, and Luongo just bit hard, and he brought it back to the backhand. Nice goal. Shout out to Luongo though, because you're hilarious. And he tweeted, "Let me know where I can pick up my jock," after that game. And I mean, that's awesome. That guy. I used to hate that guy until Twitter, because Twitter's made him the most likable guy in the world.
And if you get schooled, you get schooled. And the best way to move on from it and to not have it follow you around for the rest of your career is to own up to it. Mm-hmm. If somebody bests you on the ice, let them know, hey, dude, that was an awesome goal. And Artie.
The tweet that Luongo did that made me a huge fan is when he was stuck in Vancouver. He wanted to be traded. It was the trade deadline. Nothing happened, and all of a sudden he tweets out, "Hey, did I miss anything? Sorry, I was taking a huge dump." And he he did like an emoji of a toilet, a phone, and like a confused face. And like I was like, this guy gets it. Like, no other pro athlete openly talks about it. Like, very few. And so I think he's awesome. He's a great Twitter follow. But, Panarin worked him, dude. And Hawks win in the shootout 2-1. Like I said, 2 points is 2 points. Still top in the West. But meanwhile, in other hockey news, there was a little temper tantrum thrown in the penalty box. He was very, very mad. Andrew Shaw took a horrible penalty again, barked at the official the entire way to the penalty box. Once in the box, broke his stick on the glass and then finished it off over his knee. And then the best part of that video was like at the end when everything was broke and he's just holding like a nub of a stick in his hand. He's sitting there and you can realize he's just like probably look like an asshole. Like it just, the look comes over his face like, yeah, I probably definitely look like a spaz. So for those of you that follow the show, you know that my battle cry here is Ryan Hartman is better than Andrew Shaw, which some of you tweeted after that you're starting to see what I'm saying. So I appreciate that. But let's just read off some early season numbers, okay? just fun. So Andrew Shaw,
you are unbelievable.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. And there's still, I saw today Hawks fans, like knowledgeable Hawks fans, posting the video of Shaw's tantrum, being like, "Man, I miss this guy." It drives me crazy. So Andrew Shaw, who is a $3.9 million cap hit per season, he has 5 goals, 4 assists, and 58 penalty minutes. Ryan Hartman, who is a $863,000, I'm not a math major, but that's a lot less cap hit, has 5 goals, 1 assist, and 2 penalty minutes. And keep in mind, Shaw plays on special teams for Montreal. Hartman doesn't. So pretty sure the Hawks got the right bang for their buck on that move.
I mean, what do you want me to argue with you?
Please, at me, bro.
You're wrong.
No, I'm not. And I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just going to keep beating this drum all season. As long as people keep tweeting, man, I miss Shaw. No.
Which,
dude.
by the way, when we posted that article on sportsmockery.com about Shaw's meltdown, 90% of the comments were, "Oh my God, I miss Shaw so much. He's a fighter. He's scrappy. He's gritty.
He's that grindy type of player.
He's a grinder, Zoe. He's a grinder.
He's not worth $4 million a year." And I mean, props to the Canadians. They're doing great this year. Most of that's price, but I guess you could say that about the Blackhawks too, because most of it's Crawford. So speaking of the Blackhawks, though, one last little tidbit is it's December, so it is the time of the year where Forbes magazine likes to throw out your valuations of worth to all the different franchises and all the different sports. This year, the Blackhawks took a noticeable leap, and they are the 4th most valuable franchise in the NHL right now. I mean, no one's ever going to beat Toronto. No one's touching Toronto in the NFL or NHL. But for the Hawks to get up to the 4th, maybe now Rocky Wirtz will actually admit that he's making money off the Blackhawks, because he keeps saying, "Oh, I'm not making any money." Well, you own the building they play in.
Yeah.
You own the company that supplies all the booze in the building that they play in, and you own the team. You're making money. I'm not worried about your bank account anytime soon. And then in traditional fashion, Forbes also did their fan bases ranked, and this has got to be like the 3rd or 4th year in a row. I feel like we post this story every year. The Blackhawks were number 1. This was interesting, though. Per Scarborough Research, the Blackhawks have had a 446%, that's not a made-up number, 446% fan increase from 2007 to 2016.
Okay, 07 to 16?
Yeah. 446%.
Like, that is a huge percentage, but when you think about where the fan base was in 2007, I can totally believe that.
Oh, absolutely. They were writing articles about how they were the worst franchises in pro sports. And then,
they literally weren't televised.
But here's a interesting, that number includes a 600%. I think this guy just likes writing big percentages. 600% increase in the female fan base, which in lieu of some of the things that have happened with this franchise, that's kind of a crazy number. And then finally, 3.6
What are you referencing?
Nothing. I'm not talking about it. 3.6 million people, that makes up 49% of Chicago, would describe themselves as a Blackhawks fan.
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't know what Scarborough Research is, it's just a marketing company that goes out and checks shopping patterns and media usage across different platforms and lifestyle stuff. So,
but I mean, Peck, you kind of touched on it. As someone, I'm 32 years old. I grew up in a Blackhawks family. I've been watching the Hawks since you had to drive to the stupid cable store to get the special box to get Hawks Vision on Sports Channel. You used to be able to walk into the United Center and buy 300 level tickets and walk down to the 5th row. Like, no one cared about this team. Not one person. And now for this research to come back and say 3.6, half of Chicago, if anyone ever doubted the fact that winning pays the bills, you're wrong. Stop.
Dude, and the McCaskey family is where the Blackhawks were 10, 15 years ago. Because look at all the empty seats of this Bears game this past Sunday. People were scalping them for $20 a pop outside of Soldier Field.
And again, we never wish ill will on an individual on this show, but I cannot wait for the changing of the guard for the Bears, one that happened to the Blackhawks. So
time for the McCaskies to move on.
It really is. And I don't even think they can keep it in the family because the kids don't seem like they're going to do any better. Like Rocky
George is a freaking idiot.
Rocky came in and filled in for Dollar Bill very well. Obviously, we're seeing the results of that. I don't think there's a kid in the McCaskey family that's going to step up and turn this Bears franchise around like Rocky did to the Blackhawks.
Well, I feel like there should be a major rule that if you're a guy that's going to be the controlling person in the sports organization, should look nothing like the bad guy from Ferris Bueller.
Dude, you just win. Wait,
you mean like Principal Ed Rooney?
Yes.
He looks like Ed Rooney.
What is this, episode 34 of this show?
It's 33.
33? You just won the award for the most random statement that I did not see coming at all. So congratulations on that.
You're welcome. He does, though. He looks just like Ed Rooney. Just like Ed Rooney. We talked about this on another show. I think it was on our first 10 shows.
He does. No, he does. I just did not see that coming at all. He definitely does. And the best is...
There should be a rule. If one of the most famous Chicago movies, if your owner looks just like the bad guy from a famous Chicago movie, you're automatically disqualified from running that franchise. I'm sorry. Those are the rules. I don't make them. I just suggest them. Okay.
I see some resemblance, but I don't know. I think that's a stretch.
Unfortunately, I was at that freezing my ass off when they honored Dicka, and he's like Bears, and he kept squeaking his voice, and it was I don't think I felt secondhand embarrassment like that in a long time. Yeah. We were just watching them. I'm standing out there freezing my ass off, dude, just stop talking. This is
just
terrible.
Shut up, man. This is so cringy. Yeah.
So, I don't know. But, yeah, it's just amazing how far the Blackhawks have come. So that ties a bow on that. Let's move on to the Bulls. Part of our jobs here with the podcast, with sportsmockery.com and things of that nature is we want to talk to you guys and let you guys know what people are talking about around the interwebs. That's what we do. One of the big discussions that we've been noticing is, even though it's early in the season, people are starting to compare this year's Jimmy Butler versus 2010, 2011 MVP Derrick Rose. Now, it seems kind of wild to me, but like we have touched on, we're about a quarter of a way through this NBA season, and I don't know, Peck, you're our Bulls guy here. Is this worth talking about? Is this comparison legit? What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about a comparison as far as numbers, their stat lines are pretty similar. This is Derrick Rose from his MVP season in 2010-11. 25 flat points per game. 4.1 rebounds, 7.7 assists, 1.0 steals, 3.4 turnovers a game, shot 44.5% from the field, 33% from three, 6.9 free throw attempts per game, making free throws in a clip of 85.8%. That's D-Rose in his MVP season. Here's Jimmy Butler so far through 16 games this season. 25.8 points per game. So he's got Rose by a fraction there. 6.6 rebounds, 4.1 assists. So their assists and rebounds are basically flip-flopped. 1.6 steals per game, 1.9, so fewer turnovers per game than D-Rose. Higher shooting percentage, 49%. Higher three-point percentage, 42.6%. More free throw attempts at 9.4, and a better free throw percentage at 88.7. So those stat lines across the board are like pretty friggin' similar. The thing that you have to think about is people ask if Derrick Rose actually deserved to win the MVP that year
all the time,
or if NBA MVP voters were just like, you know what, we can't just give it to LeBron again. We got to give it to somebody else. And look at what the Bulls did that season. Derrick Rose went from Rookie of the Year to starting to make a name for himself, all-star in his second season. And then his third season, just 22 years old, the Bulls go from a 500 team to 62-20 and win the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. And Derrick Rose had everything to do with that.
Right.
I mean, yes, Tom Thibodeau's arrival and the improvement on the defensive end was definitely a factor, but Derrick Rose took over the fourth quarter countless times and brought the Bulls countless wins that season. That's why he won the MVP. It wasn't necessarily about his stat line.
Right, and we all know Jimmy. Wait, real quick, we're all clear. Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
There's no chance in hell he wins an MVP this year.
No, Russell Westbrook is on pace to have more triple doubles this season than Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant did.
I'm pretty sure they're already carving Russell Westbrook's name into that trophy.
It's insane. It's insane.
Just so we're clear on
Russ
that.
Russ Westbrook's got that for sure. But yeah, no, I think no matter what, that season, I've never watched basketball and been so enthralled with a player. Like, I mean, I caught on to the tail end of the Jordan era. I remember that 98 Bulls Jazz series more than probably anything else when it comes to Jordan. But, when it comes to Michael Jordan, the majority of stuff I remember is highlights I've watched on, NBA Network or something like that. Mm-hmm. So when Derrick Rose had his MVP season, that was just, I've never seen a guy play so well and do so many things on a consistent basis. Just like, he was guaranteed to have a highlight reel play every single night. He was the closest thing to much-watched TV in Chicago basketball history since Michael Jordan. Literally every single night he was throwing down a dunk, creating some crazy shot through the lane. And that's what I feel like that alone was enough to kind of like everyone knew who Derrick Rose was because they'd seen like 20 highlight videos and he was like a mainstay in the ESPN top 10. So I feel like that helped a little bit. But like we're saying, it also helped that it was really like, well, LeBron James probably has better overall stats, but who's more important? I feel like that was the one time the NBA really looked and was like, who is more important to their team? Derrick Rose off that Bulls team, probably they lose 10 to 15 wins. And that's crazy.
Yeah. Right. So. Whereas, that season, that was LeBron's first season in Miami, and he's got Dwayne Wade, and he's got Chris Bosh. And
they also, they went on that huge winning streak, but they also started out the season just god awful.
Right, exactly. And, as you said, and bringing this back to sort of comparing Rose's numbers that year in his MVP season to what Jimmy Butler's doing thus far, Jimmy Butler is not the flashy, oh my God, highlight reel that Derrick Rose, the 22-year-old Derrick Rose was. Jimmy Butler has evolved his game, particularly on the offensive end. He's developed a bit stronger of a game from behind the three-point line. His mid-range game is great. He can post up now. He can get to the rack. He can get to the free throw line. But he's not the athletic freak that 22-year-old Derrick Rose was. And some of those drives and crossovers and reverses and thunderous dunks. You talk about Derrick Rose being maybe a generous 6'3", and he would fly. He would fly on some of those dunks.
The craziest thing was Derrick Rose was averaging close to a block per game. He almost had a better block ratio, or was averaging almost more blocks than Noah and Taj Gibson that year. Like, he just was unbelievable. He did everything, averaged close to 6 rebounds per game, was, like you said, 35 points, almost 36 points per game, 11 assists. Like, Derrick Rose was doing everything he could to take a team that was pretty good and make them an elite team. And clearly it showed in the postseason that when you take Derrick Rose away from everything, the Bulls themselves were just a collection of role players that fit well with Derrick Rose.
Right.
So, it sucks, but God, there will never be a more fun season for me than that year.
Oh, it sucks you missed the Jordan years. But Peck, you brought up a good point about, how flashy and highlight reel, like, ready Derrick Rose was during this season. But Jimmy Butler just seems like more of a solid overall player. And I think one thing that I kind of downplayed when it first started, but it's starting to build up more and more steam in the media and things of this nature, is how much of an effect Dwayne Wade is having on Jimmy Butler. Now, do you see Butler kind of molding his game into like a D Wade-esque, more all-around player than what he used to be? Because I think it's really starting to show. I mean, am I putting too much stock into this, or what's up?
Well, I mean, I think we started to see Butler's game evolve when he won Most Improved Player in 2014, 2015. And he kind of, because of all of the locker room problems and drama and the turnover and the new coach, and Butler kind of just stayed where he was last season. Like, he talked about working hard and getting better. I didn't see any marked improvement from Butler from 2 seasons ago to last season. I really didn't see much improvement. If anything, I saw him give less effort on a nightly basis on the defensive end, and that was his calling card coming into the NBA. This season, you can tell that he's put effort in the offseason, playing with those Olympians in Rio this past summer, put a whole lot of work into making his game as complete as possible. And Dwayne Wade has sort of done the same thing, even though he's 8 years older than Butler. Right. Like, Wade added a new element to his game this offseason because Fred Hoiberg was like, hey, I want you to shoot a bunch of threes. I need you to shoot a bunch of threes. So I feel like it's interesting. I feel like Butler and Wade have both evolved, at least what we've seen through almost the first 20 games of this season. Yeah. And to me, the most important aspect of all that, though, is the relationship that they have is right now apparently flawless.
Right.
Like, D Wade retweeted a Scottie Pippen quote the other day that said, it was Scottie Pippen saying, one of the biggest challenges as a star athlete is accepting a lesser role because it's the best thing for your team. And obviously, Scottie knew all about that, playing alongside Michael Jordan for
that was Scottie's career. Yeah,
that was Scottie's career, but he won 6 titles doing it. And now, I mean, Dwayne Wade has kind of done a similar thing. He played with Shaq. People forget that, like, Shaq was a part of that Miami Heat team that won before LeBron and Bosh ever got there. And then he played with LeBron and Bosh. Wade is one of the most selfless players in the NBA, and I feel like that, paired with his all-around game, are doing wonders for Butler both on and off the court so far.
One of the cool quotes I saw that Dwayne Wade said about Jimmy Butler is, he said, Jimmy Butler was a great cook. I'm teaching him how to be a chef. I like that a lot. I was like, that's one of those things where you see that on Twitter and you're like, that's dope. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I agree with you there. I think it also helps that the Bulls, or that him and Butler also went to Marquette together. So there's a little bit of camaraderie. But it was interesting. I know, Peck, you listened to this podcast when Butler was on Bill Simmons' podcast. I think it was like in July, right before the Rose trade. So it must have been June, actually. Bill Simmons straight up asked him like about Dwayne Wade, and Bill Simmons, of course, is being Bill Simmons and trying to like start like animosity just because. And he's like, "Well, like, what do you think about Dwayne Wade? You guys like talk, right, blah blah blah." And Butler's like, "Yeah, no, not really. Like, we're all right. He's the type of guy that's not going to go out and like just reach out to you just cause or whatever." And Bill Simmons is like, "Oh, you think he's got like a little like your you're me but better, some type of stuff, whatever. And Butler kind of shook it off. But I really was kind of like, as I was thinking about it, I was kind of like, yeah, you know what, Dwayne Wade is a little standoffish sometimes. But honestly, everything I've seen with him, and now with the uninterrupted video series that they're putting together, I honestly, like, I don't know why I was nervous that this guy would be something that would potentially hurt this Bulls locker room. He's been everything you could hope for in a superstar player, and then some, just as like a veteran, just knowing how to be a teammate. Like, he's just a fun guy to watch and be around.
Go on, Pat.
Like, I didn't worry about it from that angle. I worried about it from the opposite angle, which was, is Jimmy Butler, now that D Rose and Noah are finally gone, going to be pissed that they're bringing in Wade, who's a 3-time champion and an older veteran who demands more respect? Because it was like, well, this is Butler's team. We didn't trade him on draft night. He's our core. He's our future moving forward. And then, well, okay, now we're bringing in Wade, who we've wanted for years, so now it's his team. But Wade, to his credit, completely squashed that from day one. His welcoming press conference at the Advocate Center was, this is Jimmy Butler's team. And I had reservations about coming here because if I were in Jimmy's shoes, I don't know if I would want an older, champion, veteran to come into my town, my city. This is my team now. But Jimmy Butler reached out to Wade and said, yeah, I want you here. You know how to win. I want to win. I want to win with you helping me.
One thing I will always do on this show is admit when I'm wrong. I will admit, when we first started talking about the Wade signing and stuff like that on this show, I said I didn't think this was going to work. I thought that press conference, I thought he was just saying what he wanted us to hear. I thought it was all going to be bullshit. I was wrong, because it's turning out to be great. And I'm seeing just a relationship between these two that I know Wade's not going to be around a long time, but the effect that he leaves on Jimmy Butler is going to be felt for a while. So,
well, look, I mean, Zoe, I'll readily admit I'm right there with you. I did not think most of the columns I wrote as all this Wade stuff was going down, most of the columns I wrote for Sports Mockery were throwing giant question marks and criticism at Gar Pax. You're like, really? This is what you're doing? You said you wanted to get younger, more athletic. This is the opposite of that. But it was about Wade and the kind of money they were spending on a veteran who's about to be 35 years old. It had nothing to do with Wade's, personality or his ability to be a leader in a locker room. I have all the faith in the world in that. It's just sort of like, are we going to end up regretting this Wade contract like the Lakers regretted giving Kobe $50 million over 2 years at the end of his career when he was too old to walk?
Right.
Like, that is the skepticism that I had. And Wade's going to take a night off every once in a while, but right now it looks like he's good for 20 points a night. And if Butler plays the way he's playing, that might be enough to make the Bulls at least relevant.
Well, so as we're recording this right now, the Bulls are playing the Lakers. Make sure you check out Peck's game recap. It'll be on Twitter at Sports Mockery, at 312pod, Facebook.com Sports Mockery. So make sure you check that out. Peck's been doing a great job wrapping up all these games for you. So
Bulls are up 28-17, by the way.
I'm just still so mad about
the first quarter.
Shit in Philadelphia. Anyways, let's talk some Bears.
Yeah.
And like I said in the intro here, because we like you, we are not going to break down the Bears. No, I don't like you, Sean. I like the people listening. We're not going to break down the Bears 49ers game because, like we said, it's the Tank Bowl. It's the battle for it's the battle for the second pick in the draft.
It's the tank wins to win them all, dude.
Yeah, it is the tank win of all tank wins because they don't have Cleveland on the docket. So Cleveland's got that number one pick.
We'll get them next year.
They got that. Hey, dude, you never know. Cleveland could go on a 4-game winning streak to finish out the season.
Yeah, and I could win the lotto. Shit can happen. But yeah, so let's talk about more in the future because it is the Tank Bowl. Bears are looking at I think they're at something like a 60-something% chance of getting a top 3 pick in the draft.
Yeah, it'll probably be the 3rd or 4th pick. Looks like right now.
So let's do a little bit of a little rapid fire here. I'm going to read off a name about some of these guys that the draft experts are high on, and just kind of give me a yay or nay and like a sentence or two about this guy. All right, cool, good. We'll start.
Yep.
We'll start with Michigan. We'll start with you, Peck. Safety, kick returner, punt returner. I'm pretty sure he plays wide receiver. He makes a mean pizza.
He's a quarterback
for everybody. Yeah, Jabril Peppers. What do you think on it? What do you got?
Well, so I believe, I can't remember who it was, but somebody on sportsmockery.com put out an article about Peppers either today or yesterday, talking about like, this is why the Bears need to draft this kid, and comparing him potentially to like the Devin Hester of the next generation because of his abilities in the return game. And look, I've been clamoring for the Bears special teams to be, if not great, then at least not terrible, since Devin Hester was out of his prime and out of the building. That is one aspect of Pepper's game, but you also have to think about what are realistically his, like, what's his floor and what's his ceiling as a DB in the NFL.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I know that people are all obsessed with Michigan right now, especially, you know, there's a lot of Big Ten fans here in Chicago, and, you know, people love to kind of hype up those Big Ten guys who are potentially NFL prospects. I don't know if all of that together, the kick return game and his skills on the defensive side of the ball, are something that is worthy of a Bears pick if it's like the third or fourth overall. I really don't.
Okay, Sean.
I don't know. I like Jabril Peppers. I think he's a pretty interesting guy. He's probably one of the most athletic safety positions we've seen in a while. I think he's interesting because I think he could play kind of like that hybrid position that Deion Buchanan plays for the Cardinals, where he's like kind of a linebacker, kind of a safety, kind of a corner at the same time. And I think that those are the type of players that are going to eventually dominate the league. Tyrann Mathieu is an example. I like that. Also, though, I think the Bears might actually be pretty heavy on Eric Berry. So if they get Eric Berry, I would be totally okay with them moving on from him. But I don't know. I think Jabril Peppers, if he's there at 3 or 4, and you know there isn't a quarterback you're in love with, why not take him? You know,
I'm not totally against the pick.
Yeah,
it'd be sweet, but you're not going to draft a guy with the 3rd overall pick because he can return kicks. That's just dumb.
yeah.
I mean, he's good at it.
Like him.
Yeah, but he can't be like a Devin Hester where that's all he does. Like, we all know what happened when Devin Hester tried to play wide receiver. It for the most part, it wasn't pretty. Peppers, I think, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Sean, is that new position in the NFL, that hybrid safety, outside linebacker position. And I think Peppers can excel at that, but I don't know how well that fits with Fangio's defense or what they plan on doing in the future. I mean, it really depends on if they get the 2nd or 3rd pick and who goes before them. But if they draft him, I won't be mad. All right. We suck at the word rapid on the show, so let's keep this going. All right, edge rusher, outside linebacker, Myles Garrett. Go ahead, Peck. We'll just keep going in a circle.
I love it. I actually would not mind at all if the Bears took this in the 1st round. I mean, the guy is a freak. I think he's, like 6'5", 270. I mean, if you look at his photo or if you just watch him play, he's like a muscular freak. It looks like he's a bodybuilder and a football player. The guy's just pure muscle. And quite honestly, with the shuffling pieces, like Willie Young's not going to be around forever. Lamar Houston's not going to be around forever. The Bears need to get younger. Leonard Floyd was a nice piece. Hopefully he turns into a real player, but add this guy to your front 7. Absolutely.
Sean?
Yeah, I'm the same thing. Myles Garrett's a guy that I would love to have on this team. Even though you have Pernell McPhee and Leonard Floyd, the more pass rushers you can have, the better. Also, it seems like Pernell McPhee is going to have a really tough time staying healthy. Leonard Floyd's shown he's had difficulty staying healthy. While you like both of them, why not add another one? You know, the team's not going to be good next year. Get the best player available. If he's there at 3 or 4, you take him.
I'm with you both. If he's there, that's the pick. No doubt in my mind. I mean, look, we've all seen in recent years how much a dominant pass rusher can be a complete game changer, like J.J. Watt or, you know, Aaron Donald or any of these guys. So if he's there, that's my pick.
Yeah.
Staying on the defensive line, Jonathan Allen.
like he could have gone to the draft last year, but he chose not to. I'm really just not that big a fan of drafting guys from Bama. It's just a personal thing. I friggin' hate Alabama. Look, the Bears could use them on their defensive line, but like Akeem Hicks, 27 years old. I don't know how much longer he's going to be with this team. Could be a potential replacement there, but nah, I'm sorry, I can't. Not from Alabama.
All right, no, roll tide. All right, what do you got, Sean?
If he's there, I'd consider it. Depends what other pieces are there, but if he's the best player there, I don't know. I could see him fitting nicely with Akeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman on that our defensive line. They need another defensive end, whatever you want to call those guys. He's fit well for the 3-4. He can stop the run, and he seems like he's got a decent pass rush. So I don't know if he's there. Great. I mean, I'm not wild about him, but he fits a need, and that's a nice thing to get to be your first overall pick. So.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't get me as excited as a Myles Garrett does, but I mean, we talked about it in previous shows. I don't want them to draft out of need. I want them to take the best player available. So,
yeah.
With that being said,
I think pace is really heavy on that.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's do a real let's actually try to legit do this rapid fire style. Let's do the 4 top QBs so far projected in this draft. Starting out, we got Mitch Trubisky, North Carolina quarterback. Rumor is he's going to leave early because North Carolina's coach might be bouncing, and he's the only reason he became a Tar Heel. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you guys on this one. I haven't watched this kid enough to really make a hard, educated discussion about him. I just know that the YouTube highlights I watched of him 10 minutes before we got on the air did not get me all tingly for the quarterback of the future. You guys got anything more on this kid that I should know, or?
I mean, I like him in the sense that his arm strength reminds me of Cutler, but at the same time, he has actually, I think, a much better touch on some of his long balls. He doesn't have to throw it like a frozen rope every time. He actually does have nice touch on some of his longer passes as well. And, he's got good size for an NFL QB. He's 6'3". But again, I'm not certain he or any of these guys are worthy of a top 5 pick.
Sean, anything to add on Trubisky?
Like him? I don't know. I mean, if you don't have any of the guys you really like there, I don't know. Yeah, I consider him. I don't think he's
right now, a lot of these mock drafts that are coming out yesterday and today, once this news kind of hit, have him going number 1 overall to the Browns.
And that's why I kind of think he's. I think he's good. I just don't think he's going to be there for the Bears. If he is, though, I'd consider it. Yeah, I like him as a quarterback. I think he's got talent. I mean, the Bears are going to keep someone, play him, and see what happens.
Yeah,
so
the biggest thing is what I'm seeing with this kid as I Google his name and stuff is the first sentence in a lot of these things is NFL ready, NFL ready, NFL ready. So take that as you will. So moving on, let's go to Miami with Brad Kaya. I just like saying his name, so that's +1 for him. What do you got on him, Peck?
It seems like this is the guy that the Bears have shown the most interest in. Like Pace and a bunch of his cronies have been checking out a lot of Miami games because they're thinking about drafting Kaya. I don't think he's a top pick. I mean, a first-round pick. And I'd honestly take Mitch before I'd take Kaya.
Okay. Sean?
I'm not as sold as Brad Kaya as other people are. Too gunslinger-ish, and I feel like I've seen enough of Jay Cutler. So if the Bears take him in the second round, I'd consider it, but for their first pick, no.
Yeah, for the record, I don't think any of these quarterbacks are – well, Kaya and the next 2 we talk about, I don't think they're first-round quarterbacks. So I guess this is more like –
See, what's weird is when I was grabbing their names, another a mock draft had Kaiser and then Watson going after Trubisky. So they had 4 of the top 5 quarterbacks going in the first 6 picks. It made no sense.
That drives me nuts.
That's insane.
Because then that brings me to the other one is Clemson standout Deshaun Watson. And I'll start on this one. This guy to me has RG3 written all over him. I don't know. That's just my take. A similar style of play. I think he's going to learn the hard way once he gets to the NFL that running into a guy like J.J. Watt or Khalil Mack at full speed is a lot different than running into a guy who's going to be working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car in 3 years. Like, you can't be they hire athletes.
Yeah, at least they'll pick him up, though.
Yeah, you can't be scrambling around like he does. And, I mean, he shows pretty good arm strength. I've been paying real close attention to a lot of the Clemson games. He underthrows receivers habitually. Like, it drives me crazy that he does that.
Mm-hmm.
So, to me, I don't see him as the savior quarterback that people are putting him up as.
No, I would agree, Zoe. I don't think he's necessarily as RG3 fragile, vulnerable type as, say, Lamar Jackson of Louisville. I mean, that quarterback is a collection of toothpicks.
Yeah,
but Deshaun Watson's got a little bit more body to him. But you're right about underthrowing, because as great as he played in that national championship game last season, he underthrew receivers at several pivotal points of that game. And we've really, I feel like he's regressed this year after the incredible season that Clemson and he had leading that offense last year. So
underthrow.
Not a fan. But honestly, Kaiser is at the very bottom of my quarterbacks list for the Bears, because even more so than I hate Bama, screw Notre Dame.
Well, that's
screw him with a rusty friggin' spoon.
No, that's our next quarterback is Deshaun Kaiser. And besides school bias, that I think Kaiser he looks NFL ready. He has an NFL arm. He's another one like Watson who tends to underthrow receivers. I don't know why that's a thing this year, but it's driving me nuts. Notre Dame does run more of a pro-style offense, and I do think Kaiser is a better, like, Andrew Luck style, like, field general. I'm not comparing him to Andrew Luck. That's not what just happened there. I'm just saying, like, he has the mental fortitude. Like, he sees the field better than some of these other guys. But again, I don't think Kaya, Watson, Kaiser are first-round talents. And I didn't think Dak Prescott was either, though. So take that but a lot of teams didn't. So
yeah, I mean, that's the thing you have to remind yourself of constantly is look what Dak's doing with the Cowboys. Would he be doing it if he didn't have the Cowboys offensive line? Maybe not.
No.
But look at Tom Brady. I mean, look at Drew Brees. There are countless examples of quarterbacks who are not only top 5 or top 10 picks, but not even first-round picks, 4th or 5th-round picks that are making a big difference on their team. So
the kid
it really is.
The kid that I've been watching closely, because our senior Bears writer Eric Lambert has pointed it out habitually to me, is if you guys get a chance, watch a Texas A&M highlight tape. That quarterback, there's something special in that kid, and he looks like he's NFL good to go. Now, I don't know if it's just because Eric keeps pumping him up to me or whatever, but watching some of the game film on him, he throws a damn good ball. And he could be a guy that's available in the 2nd or 3rd round.
It's Texas Tech, by the way. Patrick Mahomes of Texas Tech.
See? It's Texas Tech. Damn it. Yeah. I feel pretty dumb there. We can edit that out.
For what it's worth.
I feel stupid. So
I won't edit it out.
He's never going to edit it out.
For what it's worth, Iowa State did run a train on Mahone.
Yeah.
Iowa State's god-awful defense ran a train on, Patrick Mahomes.
Was it did they do it on him or his offensive line or his terrible receivers or?
No, he threw 3 picks.
Okay, there you go. Might be a bad game. I don't know. I just like the way some of these. I like how the kid throws a good ball.
He's pretty talented. I like him too.
Yeah, I mean, he throws a good ball. You just want to throw in there that Iowa State actually played a good football game.
Yeah.
So
it was a hell of a game. They won 66-10. It was insane.
Fine. And you should have
done. They had scored them many points in freaking 13 years.
It's all right. I gotta let you. Who am I to take that one away from you? I can't. Yeah, man. That's your moment. Bask in it. So
the only highlight I had for football this year was that they had new jerseys.
They were pretty sweet. I'll give them that. Speaking of Sean's time to shine, let's get into some baseball talk. Chicago seems to be the hub of all these trade rumors and whatnot. And Sean has been doing his homework, ladies and gentlemen. He's got sources. He's talking to some people that are on the inside, and I can verify this. I've seen some of the conversations. His sources are legit. They're good, and he's hearing some rumblings. So one of the biggest things that is coming out is everybody wants to know where Chris Sale is going to go. And what we're going to do on here, instead of speculating, we're just going to keep telling you the latest. Every show we'll do we should put in the Carmen Sandiego song. We'll put Chris Sale in there. Like, where in the world is Chris Sale going? So we'll have that. And right now, it's Houston. So, Sean, why don't you talk a little bit about what you got on that?
So the White Sox, I reported on the last show, were supposedly supposed to be making a deal with the Rangers for Chris Sale. Rangers were supposedly everyone's top pick for Chris Sale to land there. Well, now, as of today, things have kind of changed a little bit. It is Texas, but it's technically Houston, as the Astros have really come out hard for Chris Sale. Talks got stalled a little bit today just because they're waiting to sign Edwin Encarnacion, which would allow them to be a little more flexible with dealing either top prospect, third baseman kind of player that played a little bit last year, and Alex Bregman, or outfielder George Springer. Both solid players. The White Sox are interested in both. They really want Bregman. It sounds like the Astros are kind of reluctant to do so, but they were waiting to kind of get that deal with Encarnacion before they made a final decision. There also sounds like a lot of teams are waiting for the CBA to kind of come through, and that literally just a couple minutes ago came through as the MLB is going to avoid a strike, which is great. So Players Union agreed to do a 5-year deal, according to Jeff Passan. So that's good. So 5 more years of yelling at each other why they don't think things are even, but that's good. So no strike or anything like that. So with those two things in hand now, it sounds like the Astros are probably going to pursue or I guess keep going with their talks with Encarnacion. It sounds like they're the favorites, and it sounds like realistically he should be an Astro within the next couple of days. And when that happens, then the White Sox will probably make a decision on whether or not they'll accept George Springer or they'll try and pursue Bregman. But it sounds like one of those two is going to come down to the White Sox, along with another prospect for Chris Sale.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear, with all this stuff going on right now, I'm getting asked a lot on Twitter and stuff like that, and I'm sure you guys are as well, like, where do you want Chris Sale to go? What's going on? I honestly don't care if they trade him to like a European team. All that matters is what the return is. That's all I care about, is they need to get the best possible return. This is the White Sox playing the best card they have in their hand right now, and they need to play it the correct way. So it sucks that Bregman is supposedly off the table, because that would have been a great pickup. But
I don't know if he's off the table. It's not the Astros really don't want to, are reluctant to give him up. But I think with Encarnacion in the picture, they would consider it for Chris Sale. For what it's worth, too, Bregman, he was the 2nd overall pick in 2015. He is, a lot of the sources I'm talking to, he was their favorite player coming out of that draft. A lot of scouts loved Bregman. So him coming to the White Sox would be huge.
And that was where in the world is Chris Sale going. So now to kind of get to this, because we're running up against it a little bit, let's get into our Thursday toss-up question. We put this out there on Twitter for you, the fans, to vote, because we have this debate internally at Sports Mockery today on you have to trade one. Who would you trade? Javi Baez or Kyle Schwarber? And as of this recording, there is 438 votes, and 53% of the people are saying they're trading Schwarber. And then there's some people that say, that's a tough one. I can't do this. I'm not doing this.
Maybe choose between
yeah.
Even though we said in the poll, parentheses, you have to.
Yep.
Bunch of wusses out there.
Make
a goddamn choice.
They're saying this one, Grand Moff Clarkin says, this felt like choosing between my two sons. Thanks a lot, jerks. This guy, K9 at _LK9 _ Baez obviously isn't the hitter Schwarbs is, but Javi can in fact hit, and he's so damn versatile defensively. We got, that's a tough one. Can we just trade Soler and make everyone happy? No, that wasn't the question, Dick. But I totally get it. So this is a tough question because, there's the rumors flying around and all of these things. And earlier in the day, I'll start this off because you guys are the big Cubs fans, so you can yell at me. Earlier in the day, I was saying I would trade Baez. Why? Because I think we're seeing his ceiling now. I think he's too wild of a swinger. I think the positions he plays, they have other people that can play them just as well, if not better. I thought we were at a ceiling. But as the day went on and I thought about it, dude, at the trade deadline, if Schwarber keeps up this great play, he is going to be so valuable to an American League team as a DH, because that's your DH for the next 10 years if you're an American League team and you trade for Schwarber. So I'm kind of holding my cards, and then I'm trading Schwarber and getting the most I possibly can in return from some AL team for him. So on that poll, I would have voted Schwarber. Either one of you, go ahead.
Is it?
I'll follow you up because my answer is the opposite. I'm trading Javi, and I'm keeping Schwarber, and it's partly because of what you started out your answer with, Zoe, which is like I'm not convinced that Javi's going to turn into a legitimate guy at the plate for the entirety of his career. You mentioned maybe we've seen his ceiling. He's not as wild of a swinger as he was when Cubs fans first got a look at him. But we still kind of saw that bad side of Javi at the plate come back in the postseason when we really needed him. He had some really awful at-bats where he was just impatient and swinging at everything and missing everything. Yes, he is perhaps one of the best gloves out there right now. His tagging ability is insane.
Can't forget about that tagging ability.
It's otherworldly. Like some people think it's overblown and people blow it out of proportion. Some of the tags Cubs fans saw him make this season were beautiful. You cannot say anything else about it.
He saved some of those catchers. They looked pretty awful this year. Javi Baez made some of those catchers look pretty good this year.
Exactly. And thank you, Sean, for leading me to my next point. Javi's a little bit of a head case. Schwarber is an adorable child who is just totally harmless, and I love him. And look, David Ross, gone, poof. Thanks for the memories. Miggy Montero is 33 years old. Can we, enough with this putting Schwarber in left field already? Turn the guy into a major league catcher, an everyday catcher that the Cubs can use for the next 10 years.
Does his injury stop that?
I don't think so.
I mean, that's maybe a factor you have to think about with, are you talking about the injury he's just getting over right now?
Yeah, Schwarber. Because, playing catcher takes a lot of toll on you, man.
Yeah, but David Ross can do it, and David Ross is 95 years old.
Okay.
Those knees aren't fresh. Those knees aren't healthy. Think about fucking Jake Taylor in Major League. He was out there with his bad knees.
He's a goddamn American hero.
Right?
Yeah.
Look, So those are my reasons. I think train Schwarber to be your go-to catcher because your older guys are going to move on, and I don't know. Javi's just a little too much of a wild card for me, and he could probably draw some solid talent in a trade.
Johnny boy, what do you got?
Well, the point I brought up here when we were kind of talking about this in the chat earlier today was that while Kyle Schwarber brings a better bat and probably, solves a lot of issues offensively. I feel like the problems that Schwarber brings are different than what Javi Baez brings. Because basically Baez, what he does, he allows you to do the things you're trying to do, whereas Schwarber kind of throws a wrench in the situation. Both good situations overall because you have two fantastic players you're trying to fit in there. I would say that overall I would probably move Baez over Schwarber just because of his bat and just because of the potential he has there. But it's tough. It really is because Javi Baez does so many different things. But like you said, there's just a little bit of inconsistency with him. And while we did see this season that he was able to kind of pull it all together and play well, and at one point there was a legitimate conversation you could have had of whether or not Addison Russell or Javi Baez should have been starting at shortstop. Of course, you're not going to unseat Russell, but, there was a legitimate conversation at one point, probably July and August. So it's tough, but I think Schwarber's bat outweighs anything that Baez can do in the field, just because while that's important and while that's, it's fantastic and he's got great showsmanship, I think Schwarber's bat is just going to be more productive than Baez would be in the field or, allowing you to play these players in different places.
And I want to point this out about Baez. And the point was made earlier in the chat, and I think it holds strong. Chicago, it feels like especially, and it does happen across the country, but it just maybe it's because I've always lived here, whatever. But we have this terrible habit of putting playoff heroes on such a high pedestal that it puts us like blinders on us. Like things get overhyped, like Brian Bickle or Andrew Shaw or Aaron Rowan or Joe Creedy, or you know what I mean? Like Javi Baez played great. He played fantastic baseball in that NLCS, but we got to remember like who the kid was before that, and he had a pretty good season, don't get me wrong, but he's still the wild, swinging, like inconsistent, and it's just I don't know. I think people need to come back down to earth a little bit about Javi Baez.
And that's also something when we had the AAA Iowa Cubs beat guy Tommy Birch on the show, like early in the first few episodes of the 312, he talked about the whole Javi Baez Napoleon complex ego issue that was a big issue while he was down in the minors. And I kind of asked him, like, might that resurface if Javi gets all this praise heaped on him? And he said, yeah, I could see that happening. And so that's something else you have to consider. Like, hey, Javi, yeah, you did some good things for the Cubbies this year, and you're a World Series champion, but you're not that great.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody that voted on the poll at 312pod on Twitter. We're kind of getting up against it. We got a little long in the tooth on some things, so we'll keep those peanut galleries for our next episode on Tuesday. So let's wrap it up with some buzzer beaters right now. Once again, plus bonus points to anyone that tweets at Sean Sears, an excellent barber. And go ahead, Peck. What do you got for your buzzer beater?
Oh, we skipping peanut calories today?
Yeah, we went a little long, so we're just going to go to buzzer beaters.
All right, cool. My buzzer beater is a quick little story. So I was just leaving my my burrito joint here on Clark in Wrigleyville. Azteca de Oro, shout out to them. Great freaking burritos. And I make a right turn, walking down the sidewalk. I see these two guys walking towards me. And I just like walk past them. It's kind of like dark and rainy out. I'm just trying to get home. And out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, one of those guys kind of looks like Theo Epstein.
Stop.
And like as we are passing one another, it's me and these two guys. I look up and I'm like, wait, no, that's definitely Theo Epstein. And that dude standing next to him, walking next to him, is definitely Jed Hoyer. And I make this realization as I'm like cradling my burrito, walking down the sidewalk on a rainy night here in Wrigleyville. And I'm like, I have to do something. My brain is like, what do I do? What do I say? Oh my God, I'm panicking. And I get like four paces past them. And I'm like, I just turn around and I just say, hey, congrats, guys. And they both turn back and look at me and say, thanks, man. And we just keep on walking our separate directions. And it was like a weirdly surreal moment where I was like, oh my God, I just said congrats to Theo and Jed. Like, I've been worshiping these guys as a diehard Cubs fan all season long since they arrived and turned this franchise around. And I'm just walking home with my burrito of all, like, you know, like just that the magic of Wrigleyville, I guess. It's like, you know, earlier in that day, they were, you know, busy completing a John Jay deal. And I'm just about to like sit on my couch and feed my fat ass a burrito, and our paths crossed magically. It was it was great. It was a great moment.
Are you saying that they eat at the same burrito place as you?
Dude, I'm pretty sure I saw them walk into Azteca de Oro right as I was leaving. Like they were headed to like have some burritos and talk about what the next thing on the plan was for 2017. And I almost like
that just
took
makes
a
me like
180.
them even more.
I almost took a 180 and like walked in there and like, you know, started like unwrapping my burrito to be like, so guys, like, all right, John Jay, like what's on deck? What's the next piece of the plan?
Yeah, you should get him on the pod, dude.
I was like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that asshole Cubs fan. Got a mouthful of burrito, like, so tell me all of your secrets, Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer.
So, Theo, I got this podcast. I noticed we eat the same burritos, so that's neat. You want to come on and be a guest? That'd be pretty swell.
Well, I think it was the right move not to tell Content Chris about what was going on, because he would have, like you talked about, he would have made you tackle Theo and made him come on this podcast.
Yeah. I was like, you know, I theoretically there was an opportunity there, but I didn't want to come across. It was literally a dark and stormy night, and I'm like this hooded figure, It was not the right time and place. But I enjoyed it just as a very brief interaction of a fan being starstruck by these two guys who were just walking down my block in the neighborhood.
Now, every time the Cubs make a signing or do a deal or something, I'm just gonna picture Theo just like sitting at a burrito joint, like throwing some hot sauce on his steak burrito. Like, what do you think about this guy? And taking a huge bite.
Yeah.
Someone making a point.
Wrigleyville burrito joints. That's where business gets done, as Tegadeoro Burrito House.
That's awesome. All right, Sean, what you got, bud?
My buzz video today is going to go out to Full Court Tommy. He's a reporter for the not the Cubs Bleacher Nation, but he's baseball perspectives reporter. He's a big Cubs fan, but he writes all sorts of baseball stuff. And he kind of came out and threw some shit at Sports Mockery. I called him out on it a little bit. We talked, we chatted, and now we follow each other on Twitter and are talking right now about the CBA stuff. So shout out to Tommy for being a good guy and, you know, listening to me and maybe let me talk some reason into us and let him know we aren't as bad as some of the people on our commenting threads like to think we are. So thanks, Tommy, for being a good guy.
We're worse. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a solid buzzer beater because I'm just fuming right now that they're not playing this freaking game in Philadelphia tonight. And no, I'm not a degenerate gambler at all. So I can't get over how angry I am at that. I will say that one very cool thing that's going on this week in the NFL, they're calling it hashtag My Cleats, My Cause. And you're going to be seeing various NFL superstars wearing these really, really awesome cleats. Like, I saw pictures of them all today. They're really cool, and they're all for different causes. Like Osweiler in Houston, he's got like these cool Ronald McDonald House spikes. His teammate DeAndre Hopkins has these awesome domestic abuse awareness spikes. Like, everybody has like this different cause. It's really cool. They're all on the official Nike spikes, but why only 1 week a year, dude? I was going to
say, and the other 16 weeks of the season, they'll fine you if you don't wear the cleats that they tell you to wear.
I'll tweet out the link today that shows you everyone's spikes. They're fantastic. And I'm sure they're going to get a buttload of money in auctions for all these great causes. Why do I don't understand why you don't do this every week. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So
doesn't make any sense.
Figure it out. All right.
I mean, at least they're finally starting to do it at least 1 week.
Yep. All right, everybody. So that's about it for our show today. It's going to wrap it up, take it into the weekend. For Matt Peck, Sean Sears, I'm Matt Zawatsky. Remember to follow us at 312pod on Twitter, at Sports Mockery on Twitter, Facebook.com/Sports Mockery, and new thing to subscribe to is our YouTube channel. So everybody take care, be easy, stay warm, and we will talk to you on Tuesday.